Hey guys, awesome news. I always mention I love it when we get Kickstarters. Awesome, yeah! Anyway, not a really big thing, and and there's no minis, but I'm a board gamer, and I like anything, board games, card games, you name it. I like to play, so I went and I did another Kickstarter, and this time I did a Kickstarter for Grifters, which also comes with Grifters Nexus, and that's the Kickstarter version, right, including the exclusive promos, which also comes with these guys too, which is pretty cool. I am super excited. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. Well, we'll see if it's awesome. We'll check it at least anyway. Let's take a look. All right, so here it is. So we've got the original game, Grifters. I haven't seen. You can see I haven't even opened this yet. Oh, it's cool. And then the new Kickstarter expansion, and of course, the Grifter promo cards that came with it, right, from the Kickstarter that I did this year. So let's check this out. Now, if you were to look this up on BoardGameGeeks.com, it has an average rating of 6.88 something or other, so basically 7 out of 10, which is not bad. From the most part, people that I've read that have played this game really like it. It's a quick and easy game to play. The artwork is phenomenal. Let's check this out. Okay, so here we go. We've got manual. And this game originally came out in 2015, so. And of course you can play 2 to 4 players, so there's 4 player mats. Kind of cool. And there we got punch outs. So I have to read up a little bit more again, on what all this stuff is. Holy Jesus, wow, look at that. And then there's the cards. And what do we have here? Job cards. Kidnap weapon. Oh, okay. These are regular tarot size too, so it should be easy to get sleeves for these. If you want to get sleeves, this is a standard size. Kidnap weapon expert, steel, radioactive, isotope. So this is a mafia game, by the way. A deck building, card, hand management, set collection kind of card game. Let's check out the cards. So this is probably not really new to a lot of people. It's new to me because I didn't have the game. I'm actually looking forward to playing this completely because I haven't played it at all. There's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, have already played the first version and are looking forward to seeing or playing the Nexus expansion. We've got specialists. Mastermind, thief, pickpockets. The artwork is pretty good, actually. Thug. You gotta have thugs, right? And the wheelman, you're your driver. So not a whole lot to see. Just a deck of cards and tokens, player mats, and those big cards. So simple enough. So the next step before we go any further with the Nexus is let's go over here and check out how the base game actually works. Okay, so looking at the basics of how to set up this game, as you can see, we've got the jobs that we're going to do. Everybody's got their hideouts for each of the characters, up to 4 characters. And then we have the ISKs. This is basically like, I guess it's the points or whatever, you know, in the game. You have so many for 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player. That's 75 or 65 or 50. Right? And then of course too, when you look at these little cards, so if I was to show one here, see in the bottom corner here, it actually tells you this is for 2-player. Right? Now if you're playing only 2-player, then you would actually have just the ones that say 2-player. Pretty simple. Kind of like Lost Legends. You know, they did the same kind of thing. You know, there's ones here for 4-player, one here for 3-player. So obviously if you're a 3-player, the 4-player ones you would remove. And you would just keep the 3 and down. And that's it. So we're going to simulate it as if we're playing 4 players. Okay. Now, you also have your starting ringleaders. And everybody gets a mastermind, a pickpocket, and a thief. So everybody has those 3. Then you have your deck of additional specialists, and everybody gets 3 more specialists to start with. And then they've got their hideouts. We can put all of this together. Everybody starts with 3 ISKs. There's an importance to that too, because you may spend these if you don't have a specialist to play. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Tried to do the best I could to shuffle these cards. I have an old poker automatic shuffler thing, and it's great for when you get brand new cards and you just want to make sure they're well mixed up. You know, if you find one of these old suckers somewhere, push a little button, it's great. You know, I think I've had that thing for, oh man, 15 years. They canceled hockey and they didn't know what to do. So poker became big for some reason. And then hockey came back and everybody forgot about poker. So I got the thing for cheap, and that's what I use it for. I just use it for mixing my brand new decks of cards. Now it doesn't mess them up on you before you go and put them all in card sleeves or something. Which is another thing too. These are actually a fairly narrow card compared to a standard size. There's a card sleeve for a Gloomhaven. Right, so they're actually considerably more narrow than a standard card, so you would have to get a different batch of card protectors for that. So moving ahead now, everybody's got 3 coins, ISKs. Right, we've got our jobs up, our hideouts. Everybody's got their main guys to start with. So you've got, everybody starts with a pickpocket, a thief, and a mastermind. Now these guys are ringleaders. Like your mastermind allows you to draw 3 specialists, choosing one and adding it to your hand, and discard the other 2. Right, where the other guys allow you to steal stuff. You can also use, you know, abilities of other cards that you have too. Right, like this one here, the counterfeiter. Steal 1 ISK from every opponent's stash. You know, or the protege, right? You may duplicate the action of a specialist in your hideout that is not in a team. So if you just have one guy there like that, you know, or like, you know, this guy here like this, right? Then you'd be able to use that character's ability again. So each character has ability of their own, but then you also have to build teams in order to be able to complete jobs. Now there's a couple of things. First, time advances. When it's your first turn doesn't really make a difference. Right? But When time advances, basically it means if you've got a couple of cards up, time advances, everything moves forward, right? So if you have one here, then that would move forward. You play your next card, then time advance again, then you play your next card, and then time would advance again, and you would have one go into your refresh pile, right? And you keep playing. Now, if it were ever to a situation where you didn't have any other cards left to play, you would then have to use an ISK in its place. And again, you know, everything would move forward as such, like this, you know, and when this happens and moves forward and this here ends up in the refresh, this actually goes back to the pile. Now, the other thing is that in order to complete jobs, like these jobs that are up on the table, for instance, this one here has these 3 skulls, right? So in order to complete this job, you need 3 skulls to complete that job, right? So then you would need 3 characters that have that symbol. So right off the bat, Thief has that symbol, right? There's also other symbols like the fist or like a brain. The Mastermind obviously has a brain, right? The Pickpocket has a fist. And then as you pick up other investigators, they will also have those abilities, as you can see in the top corners of them. So this is where you build a team. So for instance, if we were to take a look at this particular job, Kidnap Weapon Expert. You need 3 brains to be able to achieve that. Now it just happens to be that I have 3 characters, I got 2 proteges, and I have a counterfeiter. As well as I also still have my Mastermind, but I might want to keep my Mastermind because he'll allow me to be able to still draw more cards, and I'm going to need more cards. I don't want to spend my money. I just want my money back. So you would then play like this so you can see what they are that you have, and you would put them down as you're playing that team. Playing that team now would allow me to complete this job. Now when you look at the jobs, down at the bottoms of them, they also have a bonus. So in order to win this game, you win by basically the most coin that you have, or points, or ISK, whatever you want to call them. You gain these by stealing them and, you know, by whatever throughout the game, but then also you gain additional ones for the jobs you've completed. So if I complete 2 of this kind of job, as it says at the bottom there's 2, right, then I would gain 2 ISK. If I would have 3, as it shows on the next one here, so there's 1, 2, 3, I would get 4 ISK, and then if I had actually all 4 of this color, which would be tough to do, but I would get an additional 8 ISK. Now, as you see when you go through these, now the next one requires 3 brains and a fist. The next one after that would require 3 brains, a fist, and a skull. And then the one after that would take 4 brains, a fist, and a skull. So it becomes more difficult to do the jobs, which means that you have to keep working on building up your group. So if we were just to play a quick round, so I get that. That was my round. Then let's see what this person has. Now they have, oh, this guy actually has 3 skulls. So why not play that? So we've got the Pickpocket and 2 snitches. Dirty snitches. So that person plays that group, and then they would be able to take the ransom pop singer. Now there's one other thing too. When you do the job, I get to draw 2 specialists. That's also the other reward for doing this I get to draw 2 specialists for doing that. I forgot about that. So I get to draw 2 more specialists to put into my hand for completing that job. Now, player number 2 here completed the Ransom Pop Singer. So they can steal 3 ISK from the coffers. So they get to take 3 more coins. So now this guy's up to 6. Let's see what they have for cards. Now this guy doesn't have 3 of anything, but has 2 brains and a fist. So he's got a Dirty Cop. Dirty Cop actually steals 1 ISK from every opponent's stash for each team in their hideout. So you could actually play that card, right, and be able to steal 1 of my ISK and steal 1 of this guy's ISK and steal 1 of this guy's ISK. Right? But also has 2 brains and a fist. So can play those in his team and complete the mug, the holiday shopper. So this gets to do the same thing that the Dirty Cop does anyway. Steal 1 ISK from every opponent's stash. So they get that job. And they get to steal 1 from him, and 1 from him, and 1 from him. And now it's back to me. So now this is where time shifts forward. So my whole team here, they move forward. And the one thing is that whole team is kind of like in limbo now at the hideout. They've done their job. They're just kind of hanging out, right? There's nothing I can do with them anymore. I only have whatever's in my hand, right? So they're kind of, until they end up in my refresh, there's nothing I can do about them. I want to try and stick with the steel radioactive isotopes because that is going to give me additional ISK at the end. I don't have enough to do that. However, I do have enough to do this hack credit system. I need 2 skulls and a fist, which I have. So if I go 2 skulls and a fist, that's a pickpocket, a thief, and a con man. We put this team down. I can take this one now. And I get to steal 2 ISK from one opponent's stash. So that's kind of cool because this guy over here just took 1 of mine. I'm going to take 2 of his back, and now I've got 4. Now, moving on to this guy. Time moves forward. So his group moves forward. We take a look at what he's got. He's got 2 brains and a skull. 2 brains and a skull. Can't do anything. There's no job that it can do with 2 brains and a skull. I'm going to use, for this character, let's say we use the Mastermind, just by himself for his ability, and his ability allows to draw 3 specialists. And then from those specialists, I can pick 1 and keep that 1. So I've got the Fugitive. I draw the specialist on the top of a discard pile and add it to your hand. So that's kind of neat. And he's a skull. But I want fists. So I'm going to go with the Enforcer. The Enforcer, draw 1 specialist and abduct 1 random specialist from an opponent's hand. Ooh, that's neat. Choose 1 to keep and give the other you chose to your chosen opponent. Let's check out Grifters Nexus. Isn't it fun just opening stuff? Oh, I almost want to take that sticker off of there. Or maybe I'll try and cut it out and I'm just going to put it in the box. Contents again, so you get 66 specialist cards, 28 job cards, 75 tokens, and 4 player. Now we've got more of these things. So yeah, so it's not just an expansion. This is a standalone on its own, because it's got that complete deck again in here. And then alternative ringleaders. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Now, the only thing left that I didn't go over was that when you get to your refresh, so you're pretty much almost out in your hand. You have most of your teams have ended up in your refresh area, right? Then when it comes around to your turn again, instead of advancing time forward again, you would then pretty much like rest and refresh, and you would take back those things into your hand, and then it moves on to the next person. So it's like you're losing a turn to get your guys back. But that's pretty much it. So moving on and looking at Grifters Nexus, there's a couple of key things that they've changed. One of the biggest is the jobs, and I kind of like the jobs better than the other way. The other way, very simple. If you want to play a quick game, you know, it's easy just to slap them out there. You have them in stacks, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, of the different colors, and the scheme, the way it's set up, it's pretty simple. They've added a little bit more complexity to it, but not really. It's just how it's organized, and it actually plays really well. And added a couple extra mechanics to it to give it a little bit more difficulty, you know, not just so easy to be able to do a job. And it gives more reason to having your ringleaders. Right? And what that is that when you look at these cards, for instance, you know, you've got from level 4, 3, 2, and 1, just like before, but kind of like, you know, classic old card game called Free Cell. You know, you have to, you know, where you had to like get 2 cards added to 13 or whatever it was, and then it unlocks the ones in the next row up. All right, it's the same kind of idea. In order to get to say this number 2, these 2 number 1s have to be used up. Right, to get to this number 3, you have to get all the way up and get rid of these 2 to get to that 3, and to that 4, everything before that has to be gone just the same. So it makes it a little harder to obtain them. But there's one other thing. If you notice on all of these, there's one of the symbols is much larger than the others, right? And the reasons for it is because in order to complete this now, just like before, say this particular card, you have this larger brain. Well, you would have to have your mastermind in this group or something. You have to have a leader now, right, that has that symbol as the leader in order to complete this job. If you don't, if you just had 3 brains and they were all just regular specialists, you would be able to do this. Right? You have to have a leader that has that ability. Just the same thing here. Right now, the skulls technically they stand for speed. You know, so if you had thief, I believe it was, the thief has, you know, speed. You know, then that thief could be the ringleader that takes another speed and brawn, is what they call it. You know, in to do this job. The other thing is that this isn't just all the cards. There's actually more jobs. So this is a great element that I think they added to Nexus, right? Just because now, better replay value, right? Now, every time you play it, it's not just going to be different cards in the deck, but it might be different jobs to do as well. Because you randomly pick the 4s, the 3s, the 2s, and the 1s out of the hand. Now, I just kind of dished them out. I didn't really shuffle them or anything, right? But you would shuffle up your 4s, and for a 4-player game, you have 3 that you start out. Then you've got 4 3s, 5 2s, and 6 1s. And again, you would shuffle them out, and then you could pick out and have different jobs, so it's not always going to be the same outcome. Another thing they also added was alternative ringleaders. Alternative ringleaders, yeah. Okay, with alternative ringleaders, it's a whole other element too, where everybody has something different now. And there's up to 7 different groups of ringleaders. And instead of everybody having a thief, and everybody having a mastermind, and everybody having a pickpocket, now, you know, say whoever this player is, because you would randomly give these out as well, right, would get a dictator, a mobster, and a robber, right? And again, they all have different abilities, you know, some stronger, some others, and then they all have, there's always going to be someone with speed or the skull, there's always going to be someone with brawl or the fist, or someone with brains, you know, the dictator here has the brains. You know, then say randomly, you know, player number 2 gets group 7. Well, group 7 has a scholar, cutthroat, and a headhunter. You know, so entirely different groups. So again, adding something different, you know, because there's only up to 4 players, but you have 7 different groups, so that could add some random element to it as well, and make things powerful in one way and weak in another for one group, and you know, then another group. So adding different strategy to the game, which I think is awesome. You know, group number 3 has the one you see on the cover, which is the engineer. Right? The engineer is name a skill type, discard cards from the specialist deck until the name type is revealed, and then add that to your hand. Because this is a Kickstarter, because it's new, and being that it's a Kickstarter, I'm not going to spoil too much. I'm not going to go through everything like I did the original Grifters, just because, well, the original Grifter's been out since 2015. It's only new to me, really. Maybe some other people. But, you know, I don't want to go through every single card and show everything that they do, right? Because I'm sure that you want to have that element of surprise, you know, if you're going to go buy this game later yourself, right? So, you know, there's just some examples. You know, I think this is, if you've liked Grifters originally when it first came out, you're really going to like Grifters Nexus, because the extra elements they've added to it, the mechanics they've added to it, the extra flavor of cards, and additional cards, you know, making it different. Probably almost every time you play it, to a degree anyway. Right, is going to really bring up the replay value and the fun factor of playing this game. The game was already fun, and now I honestly think they've improved it. They've made it better. One other little mechanic they changed when it came to that, so that part's different. So I can see why when you did the Kickstarter, if you did the Kickstarter like I did, how you had the option of getting the original Grifter still, right, and this one. You know, and I didn't even go over the Kickstarter cards from the original Grifter. But, you know, the Nexus, like I said, in my eyes, both games are great. I'm probably just going to play the first one for a while because it's so easy, and even easier than this one, right, that it would be easy to get some of the gamers I've played with involved to play the game and understand the basic operations and mechanics of how to play Grifters, and then introduce Nexus, adding those extra elements, right? It'll be easier for them to adapt and move on, so it's kind of a stepping stone too. So it's kind of cool having both of them. You know, it's great. If you like what you see, I hope I covered enough. If there's any questions you have, you really want to know, You know, you can go to Basic Painter on Facebook. You can also check out my miniatures, the supplies that I use, you know, geek on, all that kind of stuff through my webpage at basicpainter.com, right? And of course, like, share, comment, you know, and please subscribe. You know, I need subscribers to keep this channel moving. I enjoy doing it. I like sharing this stuff with you guys. So, you know, join up and let me keep doing it for you. Until next time, you know, I might even do a token organizer for these guys, because after I figured it, you know, to try and fit everything back inside this box, once you bust open all these little things, and then you have all these cards, yeah, I'm gonna have to do something.